Today, we're very pleased to have Gerteisen, the CEO of Nova Mineral Limited, to join us. ASX code NVA. Welcome, Chris.
Ni hao. Great to be with you, Hannah. Thanks for having us on your program.
Thanks. Chris, Nova Mineral is developing North America's next major gold trend. Could you please tell us more about it?
We're situated in Alaska in the Tintina Gold Province. This has been one of the most prolific belts in recent times, over 220 million ounces of gold documented in recent discoveries and producing mines. And, this is where the Klondike was, right? The historic Alaska gold rushes. This is the region. Now we know where all that gold came from. And so we're just situated on that belt. It's the last frontier for massive, we call it elephant country. It's just massive gold deposits, 10 million plus ounce deposits, not uncommon in our neighborhood here. And that's what we're on to at the Estelle Gold Project. But, the Estelle Gold Project is 450 square kilometers on state of Alaska mining claims. And that's only one of our deposit areas that we believe will be 10 million ounces at the end of the day. That's Corbel. But it's much larger than that. We're unlocking the entire Estelle Gold trend. That's what you see behind me here. A 35-kilometer corridor. And along that, we've already delineated two deposits, Corbel and the high-grade RPM deposit. And in between those two deposits, we have 21 other known prospects at various stages of advancement. So to date, we have 9.6 million ounces in resources. And that's only growing by the day, especially this year. We're ramping up now for the largest drilling program yet, certainly the largest impact in terms of adding ounces and advancing the project towards production.
That's very exciting. Chris, we have heard that you have over 25 years of experience as a professional geologist. Could you please introduce more about yourself to our readers?
Sure. So as you said, I'm the CEO and a director of Nova Minerals, and I'm an economic geologist. That's my specialty, mining and exploration geology. Also have a mineral economics background. And I'm from Alaska, so that's worked well, especially through these crazy COVID times. We've managed to just keep pushing the project forward. I got my finger on the pulse right here. The project's right here in my backyard. And I've really come full circle, working on numerous resource projects across the world, in Alaska in the early days, and then in Nevada on the famous Carlin Trend. That's the premier gold producing district in North America, with the likes of Newmont and Barrick. And also then I went over to Australia, working mainly in the Western Australian gold fields around Kalgoorlie, bringing a number of projects into production. Also in Southeast Asia, I worked in Laos, Indonesia, Thailand, bringing numerous, my specialty, and I've been involved in numerous management teams, bringing projects from that resource stage into production. And now I've come full circle to do the same thing. I've come back home to Alaska to do the same thing here. And I think my experience with the Carlin Trend, we're on the Estelle Gold Trend here, certainly many similarities to the Carlin Trend with the Estelle Gold Trend in terms of the size, the scale we're talking about, and the resource endowment. We're only getting started, but if you compare us to the Carlin Trend, we're really the Carlin of the North. And the Carlin Trend, they've already produced over 84 million ounces of gold, and they have a resource endowment of 130 million ounces. And so with the rate that we're discovering and adding resources, certainly we're on track to meet that bar and perhaps surpass it in the decades to come.
How's the mining progress going in Estelle? So there are 21 prospects in Estelle project, with two already defined large deposits, Corbel and RPM. What are the potential gold resources in Estelle so far?
So, where do you start? Who would have thought in 3 short years that we would define almost 10 million ounces in resources already? And so, as I mentioned, we have those resources are located at the Corbel deposit on the north side, just here behind me, at the Corbel deposit, where we have 8.1 million ounces, 3 million of those ounces are in the indicated higher confidence category. And then more recently from our work last year, now we also have resources at the RPM deposit here, which is about 15 miles to the south of Core Belt. And so the RPM deposit is very high grade. Our first resource out there is 1.5 million ounces at 2 grams per ton. And so that's a very high grade deposit, and a majority of our work this year will be spent infill drilling RPM to prove those existing resources up to the higher confidence level, as well as starting to step out because it's wide open along strike in both directions, but particularly to the west where we had that very high grade intercept. And we'll be looking to at least double that resource this year. So that's just those two. But in between those two, we have, as you mentioned, 21 other prospects. Last year, our ongoing reconnaissance exploration programs also made 2 more discoveries. One at the Train Shoeshine prospect area, where we have 20 to 30 gram per ton rock chips over a surface exposure of 1 kilometer in strike, 500 meters in width that we can map it. And that we believe that's another one of these massive intrusive related gold systems. And also at the Stony prospect, where we discovered, this adds a whole new element to the Estelle Gold project, is that we discovered a polymetallic stacked vein system that is gold, high grade gold, thousands of grams per ton silver, and 2.5% copper up to. In a vein system that we can map and follow over 4 kilometers in strike. So not just gold, we also have potential for silver and copper as well, as we see. So yeah, we'll just continue with those. But most importantly, we'll continue with the resource drilling programs on our path to production here to continue with our next step, phase 2 scoping study, PFS next year, and then on to the bankable feasibility study. And we would like to be producing gold, pouring the first gold by around 2026. But in the meantime, we'll continue with these recon exploration programs. Very easy exploration out here, Hannah. It's kind of virgin country. It doesn't require any deep searching, complex exploration techniques. And so it's pretty much old school geologists, boots on the ground, finding things at surface. And so we expect more discoveries to be reported this year after our exploration programs are completed this year. So look out for that.
Sure. So Core Belt main deposit finished its phase 1 scoping study. Can you briefly tell us the result and how much gold will be produced per year in Core Belt?
So the phase 1 scoping study, if you look at the phase 1 scoping study, we have the CapEx for the phase 1 scoping study incorporates the plant, the Core Belt Central Processing Facility. Now, what you need to understand with this is that is the plant for the entire site. So that same plant will take ore eventually from RPM and some of these others I've discussed. So that's the CapEx. Now, in terms of production and what we were able to include there in the production schedule, with ASX guidelines, we can only include indicated resources. And so we were constrained by only using indicated, meaning we could not put RPM into the equation. So, but just using Core Belt indicated resources that first year, so we have a 3-year payback period just using Core Belt. We have a production, that's what really the time period that we're concerned with, that first 3 years, because everything on the back end, once we get RPM into the picture, that'll all change and that'll go out. But just with Core Belt alone, we'll be producing for 15 years. But the first year, 200,000 ounces. The first 3 years, 180,000 ounces on average per year. And over the life of that evaluation period, I believe it was 130,000 ounces per year. That's just Core Belt main deposit resources included. Now, with this drilling this year, proving up RPM, that'll now be included in our phase 2 scoping study, which will be released before the end of the year. And that'll internal numbers, I can't say anything just yet, but internal numbers, it'll just blow everything off the chart. We have an NPV currently with the phase 1 scoping study at almost $400 million. And that's set to go up significantly with the high grade RPM material coming coming into the equation.
That's a quite impressive number for the production cobalt. So apart from becoming a gold producer, LOVA also invests in the new lithium. Could you please tell us more about it?
Oh, the lithium project?
Yes, correct.
Right. So our lithium project, which we've spun that off into a separate company now on the NASDAQ called Snow Lake Resources. All right. So Nova started that, and for very minimal investment, we've achieved, the latest number is 2,500% return on our few $1 million that we initially spent. But last year we spun that out on the NASDAQ, very successful IPO, Snow Lake Resources. It's ideally situated in Manitoba, Canada, right on the rail line. So it has connections into the North American rail system, into customers into North America, and also the rail line extends to the north, to the port of Churchill. So we can also take product to the east. In this case, that would be over to Europe, which are very keen to take the project. They, the different management team over there, but the resource to date is 11 million tons at just over 1% lithium. And now the recent drilling results that they released, they're showing that main dike that they're on is continuing. And so we expect that resource to double here by the time they release their next resource update. And we recently, to raise money for Nova, for our main flagship project, we recently sold down in a block trade, and we raised $18 million to fund Nova Minerals gold project up to PFS. We still hold 30% in the 37% in the project. So any upside in the lithium will be able to realize that. Because what you have to understand is that so we have $18 million in the bank, plus still 37% of the Snow Lake lithium project, and all of that for a few $1 million of initial investment. So, but what you have to understand is that Nova Minerals is a gold company, and we have a number of strategic assets, including the lithium project, Snow Lake Resources. And when the time arises and the need comes, we will potentially tap into some of those to fund what we're trying to do here at Estelle, to minimize dilution and stay out of debt for the Nova shareholders. And we're a very clean company in that regard. No debt, and in this latest round of capital raising, no dilution.
Just following your answers, let us talk about the cash position of LOVA. So LOVA is well capitalized with around 28 million and further liquid investment. What is LOVA's next step, and how do you see the future monetized opportunities?
The Estelle Gold Project. So the timeline here is right now we're drilling, drill. This is what we'll use the funds for: drill, and then study and complete our study. So we have significant, 20 up to 20,000 meters of drilling planned at RPM, and another almost 20,000 meters planned at Corbel. At Corbel, the Corbel main deposit, with currently 8.1 million ounces, is almost the infill drilling there to get it all up to indicated is almost complete. There's a little bit left. We'll complete that. Then also through the wider Corbel Valley, it's a massive mineralized system. There's other targets that we'll be drilling this year as well, namely the Cathedral target, where we have rock chips of up to 114 grams per ton. And that would be nice to hit some good high-grade material right there next to our Corbel Central Processing Facility. So that all those drilling programs, the one at RPM is a high priority to then include that into our phase 2 scoping study, which will be released later this year. The test work has already started for PFS. That includes metallurgical test work and environmental studies and a few other things for around RPM, mainly to include all of that, to wrap all that together into a PFS study, which we intend to release by late 2023. Bankable feasibility straight after that into 2024, 2025. And as I said, producing gold by 2026, hopefully. Very ambitious, certainly, but many things are falling into place, and we have the momentum, And we have a number of other factors. You know, we're in a tier 1 jurisdiction here in Alaska, very safe jurisdiction, very important. You know, the sovereign risk in the geopolitical environment we live in today. So very secure environment. Our claims are all on state of Alaska land. So we don't deal with any U.S. federal land or any native corporation land in Alaska. It's all state land. And Alaska is a resource economy. And so the state's very supportive of our project. So, you know, to sum up what we're going to be doing here and where the opportunity is, we're on the path to production. We're an aspiring gold producer, and we'll do everything, put all our resources towards finding more gold, proving up our gold, and doing the studies required to get to production.
As of 6th of May, the gold price is around $1,800 per ounce. Can you please give us a brief summary on the connection between the gold price and Nova's future NPV?
1,800. So our scoping study was almost 400 million NPV. I think that's at a 1,750 gold price. And so at current gold prices, I believe today it's somewhere between 1,820, 1,850. So to show you what the sensitivity there is with gold price, at current gold prices today, our NPV would be 500 million. So that's adding an extra 100 to 150 million for every $100 move in the gold price. So we're very sensitive to gold price. And I think, you know, for gold investors now, today, we're all very bullish on the gold price. And so that only sets to benefit Nova. In terms of sensitivities and NPV, the other big one that our project is sensitive to is the gold grade. And so currently, just using Korbel, our mined gold grade is 0.4 grams per ton. And at 0.4 grams per ton, utilizing our ore sorting technology, where we take 0.4 grams and upgrade it quite readily, quite easily to 1 gram per ton, using that process before we actually put it through a mill, we have almost 400 million NPV. Now, just the slightest move, if you go from 0.4 to 0.5 grams per ton, just that 0.1 gram per ton increase in the gold grade of the mined gold grade, our NPV goes from 400 million to over 800 million, Hannah.
Wow.
And so that shows you how sensitive we are to gold grade. Now, enter the RPM deposit, which is at 2 grams per ton. So once that comes into the equation, you know, I just told you we're going from 400 to over 800 million, just increasing the gold grade by 0.1. Now, if we enter an RPM and the gold grade, we get 2 grams per ton additional to the production schedule. You can imagine what that does. It blows the numbers off the charts. And so the phase 2 scoping study is much anticipated, and we expect to release that before the end of the year.
This is a very exciting project. This is the end of the interview. Thank you so much for your time today, Chris. We're looking forward to catching up with you again on the update of the Estelle project.
Thanks for having us, Hannah, and I'll see you next time.
See you.